lost all control. Gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes me with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal Night Terrors. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. Thank you guys for being here. Hope you guys are having a wonderful evening. It's been an interesting day here. We actually had, ladies and gentlemen, a 6.5 magnitude earthquake just south of us here in Idaho, and the house shook. It was shaking up here. It was crazy. I don't know what the hell's going on, but it was west of Chalice, Idaho, which is right around the middle of the state. So it's about, I don't know, maybe 100 miles south of us, maybe less. I don't know. I'm not sure. I should look that up. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. I wasn't expecting that, but apparently they had some minor quakes over in Yellowstone today as well, some 2.6ers and such. So there's things shaking. I don't know what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. We got a pandemic upon us, and now the ground's starting to move in places it didn't used to move. I don't know what to make of it, but hopefully we'll all be okay. I mean, we're fine up here, for all of those of you who sent me messages on Facebook and stuff. Thank you. But I mean, literally, it was just a little shaking going on up here. It was pretty significant shaking, but it's fine. No damage or anything like that. We're far enough away that it wasn't dangerous for us, but I felt the earth move, so had that going for me. But anyway, that's the new news. It's weird. Whatever's going on is plenty strange out there, but that's what we do. We're the Paranormal Portal. So strange is where we're at home. So anyway, I hope you all are ready, because it's time for bed. So I guess it was a couple 100 miles or so south of us, as the crow flies. So a couple 100 miles away. But it was still, I had heard from Bill Besson, who was over in Medellin Falls, and he said he felt the shaking there. Heard some people up in British Columbia felt it as well. So crazy. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know. That's enough of the current events. The first time I ever felt an earthquake was actually up here in the north of Idaho. They had a 2.6 that was about 2 miles away from my house back then on some extinct fault line that's lying beneath the Lake Pond Array up here in the north of Idaho. So it's weird. It's really weird. But this one was more pronounced. The one that I felt, the first one I felt was like somebody was grabbing my chair and shaking it like this. I was like, what the hell is that? I don't know. I didn't even know what was going on. So Mrs. Portal was the one that knew it was an earthquake because she's from Indonesia. They got them all the time there. So I didn't know what was going on. This time she knew as well. So anyway, craziness up here in the north of Idaho, but actually in Idaho, I guess. Well, there's craziness everywhere. But anyway, this is the Paranormal Portal Night Terrors. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and we've got a good show lined up for you. To take a page out of the Wes Germer playbook. I got a great show lined up for you guys today. Sorry. But I hope you guys find yourself wildly entertained throughout the duration of this portal venture. It's all ghost stories from here on out. So let's get into them and find out what spookiness is going on in the world around us. Feels like my levels are low or something. Are you guys hearing me okay? Does it sound good? Well, let me know if you would, please. Maybe I should turn up my monitors. Maybe that's all it is. All right, I think that's better. So let's get into it. Okay. People are in the chat are talking about the earthquake. Yeah, it's really the really scary part is that this is really close to the Yellowstone volcano super caldera, and they've already been noticing heaving going on in a portion of that for the last weeks, several weeks or more, maybe months. I don't know, but that enough is really creepy. But I hope that doesn't suddenly go active. But because somebody in the messages on Facebook said, "Could you imagine if the caldera blew while we're in a pandemic?" And I'm just thinking, my God, it's like the perfect storm. It would be horrible. It could be. Without trying to spread fear and all of that, because I don't believe in that. But my God, that would be a terrible recipe for problems for all of us in a huge way. So far, the coronavirus, while it has been terrible for some people, has been largely for most of us just an inconvenience, really. And I'm not trying to degrade or put down the severity of it or anything like that. I'm just saying for most of us listening and around the world, the numbers of people that have it is significant, but it's not like, every third person is infected or anything like that. So it's not like that. So for most of us, it's just been like, oh, we got to stay at home. Oh, what do we do? How do we bide the time? So anyway, enough of that. There's enough places to talk about that everywhere else on the internet. I'm not going to bring the portal there. So let's get into it. The first story tonight's coming out of Utah, and this has to do with the haunted places. And it goes, in the summer of 2007, I was babysitting my baby cousin, Cameron. He was only 1 or 2 years old when this happened. It was a really old house with a ripped up old-fashioned sofa in the basement. It also had an old-fashioned wheelchair in a closet in the basement. Well, that's all creepy. Oh my God. Oh, that already sounds just creepy. Apparently there was a man who died in that wheelchair, and he had some sort of leg disease, and the closet door is always kept shut to keep Cameron from fiddling with it. Me and Cameron were upstairs, and it was really hot, and the basement is a lot cooler in the summer, so I decided to take Cameron downstairs to play with his toys. It gets very hot in the summer, and Utah is so dry. Well, adorable Cameron was just playing his way out of his world when all of a sudden he jerked his head up and looked straight ahead. I looked at him trying to figure out what he was staring at, and I looked over at where he was looking, and he was staring into the closet of the wheelchair. The door was open. I looked back at Cameron, and he was now pointing in the open closet, and I know it sounds like the Messengers movie, but I promise you that I hadn't seen the movie yet before this happened. Cameron, there's the choo-choo train. I tried to distract him. Oh, he wouldn't take his eyes off the open closet. In fact, he started gritting his mini teeth and grimacing at it. Well, I decided I had enough of that, so I picked him up and take him back upstairs, and he was now growling, and at the same time, I could hear heavy breathing a few feet away from us. And then I booked it. I was pretty worried about Cameron, so I called my aunt, his mom, and I told her that the closet door was open and Cameron was growling at it, and surprisingly, she didn't think that it sounded stupid at all, but I did. How else should I have said it? She said that she was 2 blocks away from home and would be home in a few seconds. And I was really relieved to hear that. Just as I was hanging up the phone, I heard the door slam shut downstairs. Literally, a few seconds later, my aunt and cousin walked through the front door. I really wanted to find an explanation for that slam, and I wasn't quite sure if I was just being paranoid or not, seeing as I was too scared to go alone, and I asked my cousin to come downstairs with me, and she agreed to. When we got downstairs, the first thing I noticed was that the closet door was now shut. My cousin tried to open it, but she couldn't, and she said that it felt more firm than just a locked door handle, and she said that maybe a homeless bum locked and was holding it from the inside. It was one of those locks that you can pick with a bobby pin, and just as luck has it, I was wearing a couple of them in my hair. I took one out and gave it to my cousin, and it took her about 10 seconds to unlock the closet door. And when we opened the door, we immediately turned on the light, and there was nothing but an empty old wheelchair in there. I'm still trying to figure out the outside possibilities, but I'm out of those ideas. There's where I need ideas from all of you. If you have an idea, please post it. Yeah, that's creepy. That's really creepy. I don't know. Why are you hanging on to an old wheelchair that somebody died in? I mean, what would be the purpose to hang on to that? Unless you like haunted objects. I mean, that's a pretty good bet that there'd be some kind of a psychic impression on it if a guy died in it. It may not be the guy's spirit, but something maybe come attached to it. I don't know. I question the wisdom of such things. So let's go to the next one. And this is, this is interesting. This comes from Minnesota, and the title of it is Man in Black. So I'm kind of curious what this is all about. It says, over the holidays, I remembered this strange incident way back when I was much younger. I worked at a gas station when I was 19 in 1979, and it was an isolated place just out of town next to the freeway. So many times it could get busy, and at other times it was just as desolate as it looked. I worked part-time after college until 8 or 10 at night. This particular night was slow and stormy, and it was a cold, dark, rainy night in October. Sometimes friends would stop over to visit, but this night, with the thunder and hard rain, it kept everyone away. I was bored with only having a TV with 3 stations and a radio. I pulled my Buick in for an oil change, as no business was coming my way. I found a radio station that was telling ghost stories, so I turned it up and got to work. I knew if a customer came, the bell would ring as the car pulls up to the pump. I had the car up on the lift and was draining the oil when a visitor appeared inside the garage door. I was not aware of him, nor did I hear the bell ring, and then he spoke. "Hello, sir. Can you help me?" Well, I dropped my wrench from fright from his voice. The sight of him scared me even worse. He was right out of the UFO files and magazines when you hear about the men in black visiting you after witnessing a UFO, and he was wearing a black suit with a white shirt sporting a thin black tie. He also wore a black hat and had dark shades on, and he was around 6 foot tall and looked pale and old. He kept his hand on his throat, and he just stood there looking at me. The scariest thing is, when he spoke, it really did sound mechanical. Then he spoke again in that robotic voice. "Can you help me, sir?" He was a customer, and I had to get a grip on myself and overcome the shock, and I approached him. He was wondering about directions to a section of town. I couldn't get over his voice and figured with his hand on his neck that he had a voice box transplant, perhaps from smoking. But it was sure creepy. I gave him the information, and he thanked me. Still holding his throat and a slight slouch, he walked out the door. I was relieved but still shook up, and then I noticed something very odd. I realized that he wasn't even wet from the pouring rain. I thought to myself, is he a man in black? And did I just give him directions to a UFO witness that just occurred? And now he has to give them a visitation? I laughed at the thought quickly and looked out of the towering glass walls of the station to see him leave. Then the scary feeling led me in total belief. I think it left me in total disbelief. When I saw no car, no headlights or taillights, and the bell again never rang. I had to think to myself, how did he get here? And who did I just see? The Man in Black phenomena is a strange one. It's very strange. Some people think that they're tied to the government in some way. And I don't know. I don't know that could be the case, because most descriptions of them seem like they're humanoid, they're human-ish, but they're not human. And so it makes you wonder, what the hell are they? Are they from somewhere else? Is there some other body of control at work here that maybe isn't human? Are they somehow related to the visitors themselves? I don't know. It's just very, very weird. I don't understand what that phenomena is at all. I haven't heard enough about it, I guess, other than these little quip stories here and there that I've run into I've tried to look into the Men in Black, and there are stories out there of people seeing them, but there just isn't a whole lot of information. And there's almost no evidence. There's only a couple videos out there. One on you can find on YouTube. If you do a search for Men in Black, you can find one that is apparently from a lobby of a motel that somebody worked at who had just seen a UFO and two men in black walk in. Another one seems to take place at a reception area of a dental office, I think. This woman's sitting at the desk and this man comes up and he looks like the body of a man, but he's completely bald, no hat on, and seems almost to have no face. The woman looks like she reaches for a gun and the man does something and she just falls over limp. And then she stands up kind of robotically and walks out with him. I don't know. I mean, they could be staged videos. They could be just a bunch of bunk. I don't know. But if those are real, then there is a very real phenomena that I think it seems extra dimensional to me more than anything. People, when they see them, they report that they're in kind of an altered state. They report that everything seems surreal. And if you ever were a fan of the old X-Files, I think there was an episode where Jesse Ventura was playing a man in black, and if you watch it and how surreal those parts of the show were, they kind of did a good job portraying at least capturing the essence of what people report. That it's just bizarre. It's just strange experiences. So whatever the case, I don't know what they are. I don't have any answers as far as what is a man in black. What are they doing? I don't know. They seem to trail behind UFO sightings, or they did seem to. You don't hear about many recent encounters with men in black. It seems like it was really a strong phenomenon in the 60s and 70s, and then just kind of petered out. I don't know what the hell was going on back then, but I guess you got to come to your own conclusion, do some research, and if you figure it out, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. But we got a call, so let's get to this call and see what's going on. This is area code 605. You're on the air.
Hey, what's up, brother Taco?
Hey, Taco, brother. How you doing, man?
Good, you?
Good. You surviving out there okay?
Oh, yeah. Everything's good. I'm more concerned with everybody else. We're pretty sparse out here, so.
Yeah, you guys are pretty spread out. That's true. South Dakota's pretty lightly populated, which is awesome for you in this situation. But, I don't know. All I can tell you is whatever's going on is progressing. Like I was talking about the earthquake today was pretty new, but, I mean, everything's fine here. We just felt some shaking, and that was plenty bizarre, but... I mean, we're healthy. We're here in the Portal studio are healthy. Don's still healthy. So things are going pretty well as far as I can tell.
That's good. That's good. I mean, give it a little time. It's just another trial we all go through. So
yeah, I hear you. And I appreciate that approach, brother, because I know a lot of people are really scared, but, when you think about it, there's nothing we can do about it. Except to try to just stay healthy and try to avoid it and make the best choices we can. And if you do all that and you still have issues or problems because of it, well, you did your best. I mean, what can you do? We're only capable of so much. So it's certainly not worth being.
Yeah, you just got to... sorry.
No, keep going.
You just got to keep your head up and be positive about things, man. There's enough negativity going around. We need people to be positive.
You're absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right. So what are you doing with the time over there? What are you doing with all your time?
Oh, nothing. Working, watching the skies.
Oh, you're still working?
Oh, yeah. Essential.
Wow. Well, that's good. I mean, that's good because that's the other thing that I worry about is that there's a lot of people that are going to they're going to be in a bad way if this continues long period. I'm worried about that, but I'm glad that you're still, punching the clock and getting your checks and stuff, man.
Well, I appreciate it, man. It's just we have an essential business. Apparently, is what it's considered. So it's one of them things. There's only 11 people that I work with. So.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Well,
it's my little business, but
are there people in your area that are getting affected by this directly?
We have what they say, 22 confirmed cases,
In the whole
and
state?
that's in a city of
In the state.
yeah, that's in our city. There's 250,000 or something like that.
Well, that's not bad then. You know.
So no, we're pretty much all on lockdown. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah, but
but
I'm glad you're doing okay, brother. That's awesome.
thanks. I hope everyone else is too. I really do, because y'all are great people, and this definitely makes my 9 o'clock much better. So,
Well, we're honored to have you, brother, and thank you again for all that you've done for us here on the show, especially. I can't wait to
oh,
get your sign hung up. That is so beautiful.
oh, that's no problem, man. That's no problem. Like I said, it's something I like to do. So,
Well,
but back to the actual topic of why I'm calling.
oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was it.
No, no, no. I mean, that's good that we're having this conversation, but I actually saw something today that I wanted to get your thoughts on,
Oh, please. Let's
and
hear about
maybe
it.
some other people's thoughts on.
Mm-hmm.
And so this actually happened at, I would say, 3 o'clock today, and I was coming home to grab a drink with my wife, and as I was heading back to work, there was a black cigar-shaped thing in the sky,
Ooh.
and it was a ways away, but it kept going north, and then all of a sudden when I looked back, it was just like going east, or south, excuse me. So it'd go north, and then all of a sudden it'd just be going south.
Wow.
And then I'd look away, and I'm like, okay, it's just a plane or something like that. And then I'd look again, it'd be going north, and then all of a sudden it'd have a bright white light, and it would kind of flash, and then it would be solid, and then it would just let it go away. And all of a sudden it was going south again, and I told my wife, I said, hey, did you see that up there? And she couldn't see it.
Okay. Wow.
We were driving for 3.5, 4 minutes, and I kept pointing it out to her, and she couldn't see it. So I didn't know what she thought. I mean, we have a little airport
Okay.
west of us, but I haven't seen any planes in the sky.
How is her eyesight? It's the first question I think you got to ask.
Oh, it's better than mine.
Okay. Okay. How big was it in the sky when you were seeing it? How like the size of a pencil, smaller? How big would you say?
Excuse me. Oh, I'd say from the distance we were from it, it was probably, it looked like it was about an inch in length, because it was over in the next town is where I saw it.
Okay.
Basically where it'd be, which is about 10 miles from here.
Well, that's pretty huge then, really. If you saw it at an inch length at 10 miles distance, that's an enormous object then. Probably not an airplane.
I didn't know what it was, but nobody else that I saw driving around was actually looking. But I was sitting there going, I told her 3 or 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I told her 6 times. I pointed it out, and she couldn't see it.
Wow. That's pretty profound, brother. I think that, well, the cool thing is that we don't hear a lot about cigar-shaped craft anymore. It was like there was a period of time those were really common, and this was again back in the 70s, 80s. There was lots of cigar-shaped craft around, and then they just kind of were gone. People weren't seeing them nearly as much anymore. Not that they're never around, but it's pretty rare. So I'm impressed that that's what you saw, but not in a skeptical way. I just think that, of course, I believe you, being someone that I know and trust. I think that that's incredibly powerful. But I assume that the different shape craft could be, piloted by different races or types of beings. It's at least possible to me. I think that the saucers would be from somewhere, the cigars would be from somewhere else, and then the triangles maybe ours, but I think that there's also some that are from somewhere else because, like, when you look at the Phoenix Lights incident, that thing was a mile or so in width, and that's not something we put up there at that size. And then
No.
yeah, or the craft that was following the JAL Japan Airlines flight from Japan to the U.S. That was a huge, huge one as well. So, I assume that these things are from different places, but it seems that, if the cigar ones are back, that'll be kind of interesting to see. But I don't know, but as you were watching it, it was in sight, then it was out of sight. Like you lost it yourself several times.
Well, yeah, whenever I, excuse me, whenever it'd go north,
Okay.
and then all of a sudden, I was obviously driving at the same time, so I couldn't really just,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
but I saw it, and unlike a normal airplane, it seemed to turn a lot sharper.
Okay.
So it would go north, and then all of a sudden I would look down real quick to look at the road, and I'd wait a couple seconds, and I'd kind of peek back up, and all of a sudden it would go in the other direction. It was almost like, because if you think of airliners, jets,
Right.
I can tell you it wasn't a helicopter.
Yeah.
'Cause that much I know, there's no helicopters over there. Well, we only have a couple of helicopters here for the emergency, for like the Sanford medical clinics and stuff.
Sure.
As far as the single, I believe they're called biplanes. They just have the one giant wing, and it normally holds one or two people.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like a little fart around plane. Even those take quite a while to turn around,
Oh yeah.
as far as I recall.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seemed to go north, and then I'd look down, look at the road, so I didn't make sure that we didn't slam into anything, and I'd look back up, and it'd be going the other direction.
Wow. Yeah.
And then the last I saw it was I was headed south to go back to work, and it was over a bunch of dead trees, and we don't have a lot of tall trees here, but I just saw it right above it, and then I just kind of lost sight of it, and then I didn't hear a plane, I didn't hear nothing.
Mm.
So I just didn't know what your thoughts might be. I mean, I don't know if you might know more about airplanes than me. Maybe it was a small plane, maybe it was a drone. I don't know, but it was just confusing to me. I mean, she never saw it. That's what kind of boggles my mind, because she's got much better vision than I do.
You said you had mentioned that you saw a light? Was it coming towards you when the light was visible, or was it not?
No, it almost seems like because it didn't come east or west at all. It seemed like it stayed directly north or south.
Okay. And
So I didn't know. Let me think here. Give me one quick second. I got to think
Sure.
of this real quick.
Go ahead. Take your time, brother. Because I know
So
that aircraft
um,
aircraft only have those bright lights when they're landing or taking off. I mean, that's just so that the towers have visibility, and that they're able to spot them very easily. So if it wasn't flying towards you when you saw the lights, that's a pretty good indication. Like in the footage that I have during the break, the green footage from my night vision, that light is shining like radiant, as if it was pointing something like a spotlight directly at me. I do believe the whole thing was shining like that, but the fact is that it was heading, let's see, I was facing north, and it was heading in an easterly direction, north and east away from me, and it was still that bright. It was much brighter than the stars. And so that to me automatically was a big red flag. Like, planes aren't decked out with lights pointing every direction. They just aren't. They just need to worry about where they're heading. So, and they don't use them except for they only use them when they're going to land. Those are landing lights. I don't even know if they bother with them when they're taking off, to be honest with you, but they do turn them on when they're landing, when they're coming in to land. So there's a visibility factor. So, that could be a strong indicator too. Do you remember?
Yeah, because I was just thinking about that, and 3 o'clock around here, and I'm sure with like 1,000 other places, but now that the sun's out till almost 9 o'clock-ish, I would say 8:30-ish. So at that time, the sun would have been directly above us. So I don't know if it would have been a reflection of the sun or not, because it's kind of hard to say.
Well, that's true too. That's something you got to consider, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know. You kind of gotta trust your intuition a little bit too, because you were driving. You only got little glimpses of it, but if it seemed to not behave like a normal plane, then maybe it really wasn't. Maybe it was really something incredibly profound. So,
I'd like to think it was. I wouldn't like to think I made this call just was
No,
like, oh,
right.
well, I found a plane. You know,
Well, it's
I'm not here to.
we don't know if it's alien what you saw, but we know that it was unidentified, and we know that it's, from what you're saying, that it wasn't behaving like a normal aircraft like you'd observe any other time. So I think that you definitely
Yeah.
saw something profound. Of course, I'm a believer, so I figure if I can see something profound, anybody can, and I'm really thrilled that you might have, because is that the first time you've seen something like that?
No, no, no. There were a couple previous times I've called. I was actually at work with a buddy of mine, and him and I saw another cigar-shaped object flying between a couple clouds.
Oh
And
yeah,
it
yeah.
came out of one cloud, and it was going slow, and then it went behind another cloud, and we never saw it again, and then all of a sudden there was a squadron of jets that flew by us.
Wow. That's
And
yeah. I remember you
I
showing
remember
that.
that in a previous one.
Yep, I remember that, and I apologize because I just hear so many stories.
No, no, no.
So I feel bad when people say that. Oh, I called in and told you about another one. It's like, oh, damn it, which one was that one? So I do
Oh, you go
apologize.
through so many stories, don't even worry about it.
All right, because I'm not the most. I don't have the greatest memory, but especially for names and stuff. But when it comes to stories too, it's just getting to be this big jumble in my head. So
Well, yeah, but you know what? Those jumbles collaborate, and eventually you remember some, and then you got all these great stories to tell people. So.
oh yeah, that happens to me all the time when we're doing the show. It's like somebody will say something, and that's why I love to talk to people who've experienced things, is because everybody sees things uniquely, and somebody might notice one detail that I'd never heard before, and all of a sudden it just connects a lot of dots together, and things start making a little more sense. So these kind of discussions I love them. They are just the most exciting for me.
Well, that's good. That's good. Speaking of crazy, do you remember when I called in and told you about that 8 to 10 foot tall blue
Yes.
creature?
Yes. I do.
Okay.
Yep.
I actually got a hold of my buddy, and he's supposed to tell me this week. Hopefully this week. He's kind of a busy guy, but he's supposed to call in with me here, so we'll get something set up there. But have you heard of anybody seeing anything else like that?
Never. Never a blue creature like that. Now I have heard of I can't say never. That does sound like I might have heard something, but I thought it was green colored. So the blue was a new color, but perhaps there are these luminescent beings out there too.
Yeah, that honestly wouldn't surprise me, but and I'm glad that I actually have somebody to collaborate this with, because he saw the same thing. So unless either we were doing some ESP something and we both tapped into each other's minds and saw the same thing, imagining it. But I'm really hoping that here shortly he will actually get hold of me. We can get a call in together, and all of us can talk about it. So
Yeah, that'd be fun. I would like to hear both of you tell me what you saw, because, of course, and I agree, I've had experiences alone, and they're only personal experiences. It's hard to have any kind of corroboration. I mean, it's impossible. You can press on somebody, but when two people come and they've seen the same thing, it's so much more powerful. It really is. But yeah, I'll look forward to that call, brother. Definitely.
I really hope so. When that comes around, I'll email you. And I wish I had more stories for you, because I could probably sit here and talk to you till 2 o'clock in the morning.
That's all right, brother.
So,
I like when you can call. Whenever you get something, just keep burning up the phone, because I love hearing from you, and I like hearing your stories. You've actually had quite a few. I mean, some people remember. Some people go through their life and never see anything amazing. So I think that you've done pretty well.
well, that's good. I'm hoping to have more. And speaking of that, if you got time here, real quick, I can tell you one more.
Sure, absolutely.
Because this was, I'd say almost 13 years ago now. I was talking to my dad about, we were going through some old family pictures. We were having a beer and blah, blah, blah. and he was talking to me about one picture he took,
Mm-hmm.
and he said the sky kind of reminds me of when he saw the UFO, and I was like, this time I didn't believe, and I'm like, whatever, you know. And he goes, no, it was just before a big storm, and he told me, he said it was, what did he say? It was three lights in somewhat of a triangular pattern, but really close.
Mm-hmm.
And he said they would do zigzags across the sky. It would shoot. He told me, he said it shot up, and his brother was with him, and he said it shot up and it stopped, and then it did circles and stopped, back to zigzag, stopped, and then disappeared. And he said,
Oh.
ever since that day, he goes, I've been a believer. He goes, I haven't seen anything since then, but, and ever since he told me that day, I've been watching the skies, and I finally
Yeah.
had enough to, to be able to call in and talk about it. So,
No, I think that's wonderful, and you know, I think that does happen often. People have experiences, and suddenly they'll have different or other experiences in the same phenomena. Like people that see Bigfoot, oftentimes will see strange lights, whether they're related or not. Some people believe they are, some people believe they aren't. I don't really have an opinion personally because I just don't pretend to know. But you know, there
yeah.
does seem to be like a seal, and once you break it, it's like the the paranormal just opens itself up a little more.
Yeah, yeah, I believe that. You know, it's I've listened to a lot of your show,
Oh, I
a whole
appreciate
lot
that.
of it, and it's fantastic. And I the whole, let's say, ghost slash poltergeist slash, you know, shadow people,
Mm-hmm.
all that kind of stuff, all the stuff you get in your house. I've never experienced it except for that one picture I took when I was searching my old house
Mm-hmm.
with a friend of mine, and we got some random thing on the camera. I've never heard noises, none of that, but I don't know if I want to because I'm kind of a chicken. I'd
Yeah.
probably take off running.
Yeah, you know, it's a lot different between discussing it and experiencing it. And I've experienced hauntings. We have we have activity here from time to time, and you know, it's I'm not scared, but it is unnerving to think that there's something wandering around that I can't see. You know, to me that makes me
Yeah,
feel it makes me feel uncomfortable in some ways because you know, it's hard to know. Is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it, you know, what am I dealing with? I don't get a bad feeling, so I assume it's not a bad thing. But still, you feel like you're at a disadvantage when you can't see what's there, and so that's the uncomfortable part. So yeah, I totally understand, brother.
yeah. It's something I wouldn't be opposed to, but it's something that I would be very cautious with.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that's the
So,
good way to be. Be respectful, you know. Be firm with your space, but be respectful. And you know, I think that for the most part, most of the spirits that we do encounter were formerly people, and I think most people are generally decent. I really do. I know there's some real tools out there, but you know, people I think try to be good, and that doesn't change just because you don't have a body. All of a sudden, I think that they're still people in a lot of cases. I know other people have varying ideas about what this next world is and what the experiences are, but I think that for the most part, if they're hanging out on the earth, they just want to be left alone, or they're working through something before they go on, and they don't want to be bothered with things. And so, if they can find somewhere peaceful to do their work, then I think that they're more than happy to do it.
yeah, perfect, perfect. Well, like I said, I'd love to keep chatting with you here, but I suppose I should probably let you get back to entertaining everybody else too. So,
Well, I hope your call has been entertaining to not just me. I hope everybody's enjoyed it,
yeah, me too.
but I enjoyed it,
I'm gonna
brother.
get it in chat. I'll
Well,
get it in chat if it wasn't. I can promise you that.
all right, brother. Well, my best to you and yours, and stay in touch, okay?
Yeah, same to you guys. Y'all take care, and everyone in chat, take care. You know, keep your heads up, keep a smile on your face, and just do your best, and we'll all get through this together. So,
Amen, brother. All right, you have a great night.
all right, you too, man.
All right, see ya. That's very cool. Very cool. There was another call on the queue, but it dropped. But caller, if you want to call back in, love to hear from you. But I will continue to read. let's see. What was I at here? I don't think I read this one. Yes, I did. I did read this one. So I need to close it, and then we'll read the next one. And this one comes for Virginia, and this one's not too long. It's a pretty short story, so it has to do with haunted places. So let's see what's going on in Virginia. It says, I don't know how to start this story, but I'm compelled to share it. My story is positive. We have had no negative or frightening encounters, but nonetheless, most interesting. My partner and I purchased this house in Orange County, Virginia, 13 years ago, and the house is fairly new, 20 years old, but the land it sits on is rich in history, both Revolutionary War and Civil War history, and we do know from historical records that the land was part of founding father James Madison's plantation, Montpelier, and that he did free several of his slaves who settled on his property. And it's also was at one time home to the local Indian tribes. Not sure exactly the time or tribes, as there were several in the area over history. When we moved here, we noticed the number of wild animals that felt calm to visit us. Deer, fox, rabbit would come and visit us with no fear at all. Birds like on our shoulders and heads without any kind of fear. The next thing that amazed us was our first attempts to plant potted flowers on our deck and to plant things in the yard, and neither of us have green thumbs. Everything we planted exploded into beauty. We were rather floored. It was even then we started kidding each other that we must have a garden spirit who's with us. I can never overemphasize the wild animal influx that we had, and I felt it was a gift. Hummingbirds would come in April by the dozens and no fear of landing on us. Bluebirds nested all around our deck and porch and would land on us. This phenomenon still continues to this very day. In this house, we feel secure and safe, and we do have flashing of electrical lights. We smell flowers and perfume often. We've never had an actual visual sighting of a ghost. I doubt this will pique any ghost hunter's interest, but I know we have something tied to this land that is very welcomed by us. That was written by a gentleman named David from Virginia. So very cool. I really think that that's awesome. That's a beautiful thing. I don't know. I mean, if you're going to be dealing with a spirit, that's the good kind. And they're out there, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we focus so much on the dark and the scary and the negative kind of encounters most often because, quite honestly, that's the ones people feel most compelled to write about. And everybody likes a good jump scare or scary story. It's kind of one of our ancient pastimes, I think, as a culture. How, the old campfires and ghost stories goes way back. And so this is like our new version of the campfire, ladies and gentlemen. The Paranormal Portal is a new version of a campfire. I should get a sound file that does like the snapping logs of, on fire just in the background as I read these. Maybe I will. I don't know. But I think that's a beautiful story. I think it's wonderful. And there are nature spirits that aren't pissed too, And I think that that's exactly what they're dealing with there in their situation is, some kind of benevolent nature spirit. So, it's a great story. I love covering those too. We do too much of the negative. It's good to do some of the positive too. Hold on a sec. There we go. All right. Now this one's coming from North Carolina and has to do with haunted places. Oh, there's our call back again. Let me get to this one first and we'll see. And this is area code 254. You're on the air.
Hello, Brent.
Hi. How are you?
Pretty good. I heard Taco's story, and it kind of reminded me of something that I saw.
Uh-huh. Who are we talking to, by the way?
Kathy.
Kathy. Okay. Sorry. All right. Hi, Kathy. Welcome to the show. What was your story? I'd love to hear it.
Well, to date myself, I was probably about a freshman in high school, and my brother had just gotten a brand new pickup, and this was back probably about 1970, and we lived way out in a rural community, and we were out outside, and it had just gotten dark, and my other brother and I were standing in the back end of my older brother's pickup, and he and his girlfriend were in the pickup, and he had just put in his new 8-track tape player.
Awesome. Those were great.
Okay. So there we were listening to, like Willie Nelson or whatever. And it was dark. And my other brother and I, we were leaning with our hands on the top of the cab as we were standing in the rear end and in the bed of the pickup. And there's a pasture over to our left of mesquite trees that were probably about 20 foot tall, maybe not that.
Mm-hmm.
And, my brother was playing, he'd just got new speakers too, and he was playing the music real loud. And when I looked over to the left, I saw a configuration of lights that were different colors. There was red, blue, green, orange,
mm-hmm.
and I've never seen anything like that on a regular plane. And they were in a V shape.
Oh, wow.
And then there was, the sun had gone down and it was dark, but there was twilight. And these lights that were configured in the V were on
I think you're breaking up, Kathy.
and
I'm sorry. We
on a black.
lost that whole last sentence.
The lights that were configured in a V
Okay.
were, they had like a black silhouette behind them.
Oh, okay.
Like you were going to be looking at the underside of something.
Oh, okay.
And so I grabbed my brother beside me, and I grabbed him by the T-shirt, and I started pulling on him. I said, look at that. What is that? And he looked at it, and we were both just kind of like frozen there for a few seconds, trying to figure out what we were looking at.
Uh-huh.
And so we started pounding on the hood, the top of the cab of the pickup. And we were trying to get my brother and his girlfriend to look up and see what we were looking at.
Right.
And my brother came out of the pickup, and he was mad at us for pounding on the top of his pickup. And he was trying to impress his girlfriend. But anyway, we kept pointing, look, and he turned off the stereo. He turned it off. And all four of us just stood there watching this thing glide.
Wow.
There was no sound. There was no sound or anything. And it came across the treetops, and then across the field, and then it went over the top of the house. And it was, like the length of a football field.
Sure.
From the ground up to it was probably about a little bit more than half of the length of a football field. It was very, very low.
Wow. Yeah, that is very low.
And so my brother jumped down out of the bed of the pickup, and he and my other brother, they jumped in the pickup and left us girls there and took off.
Uh-huh.
And then,
And they what? I'm sorry. You broke up again.
it was huge.
Oh, wow.
It was huge.
Okay.
Like it would be like taking the two end zones and sticking them together in a V. I mean, it was huge and quiet, and it just kept moving and moving. Well, my brothers got in the pickup, and they took off, and I started running down toward the gate to where I could see, and it started getting lower and lower, like it was going to land.
Oh, my God.
So my brothers, yeah, and my my brother's girlfriend, she was all real shook up and everything, and I was like, I want to see this thing. And she
Yeah.
didn't want to have anything to do with it. So it's a long, long dirt road down to the highway, and then, and we could see the pickup going down to the highway, and then making a.
I'm sorry. We lost you again. No.
Road turns,
We're,
so we could not see them anymore.
I'm sorry. We lost all of that. Okay. Yeah, I got to back up about a paragraph here. Sorry. Your phone's really breaking up.
Okay. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm going here. Is that better?
Yes, that's perfect.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
So when they turned the corner to go back south, and this was about probably about a mile and a half in our eyesight, we could see their tail lights, and they went back south too. So we kept waiting and waiting, and his girlfriend was just, scared out of her mind. We didn't know what this thing was.
Right. Yeah.
And this was in 1970, and they hadn't even come out with the B1 that we knew of then, but this thing did not make any sound. It was very low. It was black. And so when can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear. Yep.
Okay.
You're not breaking up at
So
all now.
yeah, I'm going to see if it doesn't help. Hold on a sec. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So when the guys got back, they said that all they saw on the highway was just where it looked like a whole bunch of grass and trees and limbs and everything else had been scattered out across the highway for about a quarter of a mile. So it was like something had clipped the top of the trees, but they didn't see any car, any wreck, any plane, any fire, anything.
Wow.
So
it never did touch down.
It never did what?
Never did come down to the ground completely.
Not that we saw.
Okay.
They saw debris. They saw a debris field,
Sure.
but they didn't see any craft, car, fire, or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So
That's intense.
yeah, it was. I mean, my brother and I were standing there in the bed of that pickup, and we were just like with our mouths open, like frozen. We didn't know what this thing was, but it was huge. It was very big. So,
Wow.
yeah, Taco, you see things like that. Believe in what your gut's telling you, that this is not
normal.
natural or normal.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's paranormal. There you go.
That's our ballpark right there.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you go, Brent. And I've got a couple of more. I've got a couple of other. When I was a little girl, and
Okay.
but I'll save that for another time.
Okay, my lady. Well, thank you so much. I'm so thrilled that you called in and shared this. This is a really cool story. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Good night.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. That's very cool. We got 2 UFO sightings on our show tonight. That's incredible. That's really incredible. That big V's. That's hard to understand, especially in the 70s. It was that big and that silent and that low and just moving along. Yeah, I don't think that was ours. Maybe. But I don't know. Hard to understand, ladies and gentlemen. But we're going to North Carolina with this story. And again, it's about haunted places. And so I'll read this story and then we'll call it a night. This will be the last night or the last story of tonight. So it says, my sister, Thera, or pronounced Tara, has always been a bit of a skeptic when it comes to ghosts. Mainly, she says, because There are enough people around to not have to worry about invisible ones watching us too. But there are two experiences she believes there is no other explanation. She's given me permission for me to share them here for her. The first one happened shortly after I moved out of my parents' home and she took over my old room. She said all the night while studying that kept feeling like she was being watched. She stopped studying and decided to read a bit to wind down before bed, and after maybe an hour of reading, she had all too familiar bed gently shaking that we had grown accustomed to in that house. We never really thought too much about it. She ignored it, as any person would, of something that occurs often. Brushing it off as the washing machine was probably on. She found later that it hadn't been. The time came that when she decided to go to bed, still with that uneasy feeling that my old room seems to constantly generate. She woke up in the middle of the night, or so she thought she did. She was actually dreaming. And in this dream, she was trying to switch the light on, but something in the room would switch it off as soon as she switched it on. She fought with it to keep the light on, and then the bulb exploded. And she woke up for real. She couldn't move, and the only sound she could muster was like gluck, gluck, gurgle, gurgle, gluck, gluck. That's interesting sounds, as she tried screaming out for my mom. She said that she felt a tremendous pressure over her whole body as she tried to move, and at last the weight lifted off of her. She ran to the light switch, flipped it on, and crash, the bulb burst. She ran out into the living room, passing the clock, and saw that she had only been sleeping for about 5 minutes. She told Mom what happened and slept on the couch for the next few nights. The experience I'm about to relate on her behalf happened in the house she lives in currently, and I do want to add my own 2 cents before relating her tale. Last Christmas, Tara and AJ went on a cruise for Christmas. I thought it would be a great idea to clean her house and make it festive for the return on Christmas Eve, and having a difficult pregnancy, it took me the whole week that she was gone to get it done. My brother even rearranged her furniture. She hated where it was before we moved it, and she still has it in the same spot today. The whole time I was there, I felt like someone was watching me. I kept seeing the shadow of a man walking back and forth between the 2 back bedrooms. I noticed her female cat. Olive noticed this man too. Well, about 8 months or so later, Tara had had her own experience. She lay in bed and looked up to see a black man at the foot of her bed. He was modern day dressed in a black hooded sweatshirt, baggy black jeans, and a wave cap. She described him as gaunt and a bit bug-eyed. She said that he reminded her of a crackhead patient that she had a few nights before. When she saw him, she screamed, and he just kind of sunk down into the floor. She bolted up, and there was nobody there. She would have seen him run right past her to get to the door. She got up and checked the house. The back door was hanging wide open. It was broken at the time and had the tendency to swing open. As we spoke, she began to second-guess herself. She was so sure at first that she woke up because he was there, and then she wondered if maybe she woke up because she was screaming. We discussed that if there was a ghost, who was it? What did he want? Was he warning danger that the door was open again? Was he a previous tenant? Was he an old patient? She didn't want to consider the last as an option. And I would think, though, that if you were a confused crackhead in life, wouldn't your spirit be confused? Maybe he was just popping through on his search for home. There are her tales, and I hope you all enjoyed them. On a side note, we were discussing Mom and Dad's house, and she said she did have similar experiences as me, and she too has heard her name being called, had the bed shake, and seen shadows. Happy hauntings until next time. Well, happy hauntings to you all until next time as well. Tomorrow, of course, is Wednesday, and I'm sure Don will be remoting in to be a part of it with me. We're going to get through our Wednesday show as normal, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for joining us here tonight. I hope you all are doing wonderful, and again, keeping your sanity. I hope you found this enjoyable. A nice distraction from your situation. I am doing my best to bring you all the entertainment I can muster in this hard time. But I'm not able to do more shows. I might do some just Facebook streams and stuff here and there. I've been thinking about that every once in a while as I'm going through my day. But, we'll see. We'll see what comes up. But, ladies and gentlemen, I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other, help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. And I'll be back tomorrow with Dawn, hopefully. And check out our podcast. It'll be going out tomorrow. That'll be released tomorrow on all the podcasting platforms. And follow us on Facebook. If you're waiting for notifications about the show, go to facebook.com/Paranormal Portal Radio. Facebook.com/Paranormal Portal Radio. And if you got a story of your own or you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, just email me, paranormalportalradio@gmail.com are the ways to get in touch with us. So love you guys. Have a great night, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Take care and be good. And, sweet dreams.